let's talk about how to fix your woman. The key to making her stop doing all that stuff that annoys you. Like, you know that your relationship would work great if she'd stop doing that crazy thing that she does. Like, I don't know, withholding sex or being jealous or going off on crazy rages or whatever that weird thing is that your woman does that drives you crazy, that doesn't work for you. She must change. And the key to making all of this work, to having a peaceful and loving relationship, you know, is this thing of just fixing her a little bit. You just fix her a little bit, right? Just not much. Just that's one little thing. You love her, but there's this thing that's got to get fixed. And she doesn't seem to recognize that this is what the problem is. I mean, I don't think I ever said this out loud, but when I was younger, through many different relationships, I know I felt this way. I know I felt like this would all work if I could just get her to change this one little thing, this one little crazy that she's got. She's got this crazy, you know, she's always starting these fights with me or whatever it is, right? That crazy that your woman has. And I knew I had to figure out the secret formula for just fixing her a little bit. If I could figure that out, then my relationships would work. And I think that, like I said, it's not the kind of thing you want to say out loud. It's embarrassing to say, like, oh, it's her fault, not my fault. But we know it's true. We know it's her fault. So then, during a period of time when I was single, because it didn't work for me again, I picked up David Deida's book, The Way of the Superior Man. Let me be more clear about this. I was, like I said, I was single at the time, kind of lonely. I had just been broken up with, and there was this really gorgeous girl sitting on the hood of like an old Camaro parked by the side of the road in front of my building, kind of like a hippie chick wearing jeans and a crop top. And she was like super sexy. And we started talking, and I was telling her about the fact that I just moved into that building where she was also living, and she was like a professional dancer or something. And she said, wait right there, I have something that's going to help you. And she went upstairs and she brought me a copy of The Way of the Superior Man by David Deida. It was the first time I ever read that book, and it was really influential. I mean, I think Deida is one of the really most brilliant people alive talking about this whole male-female dynamic. And he's just got some beautiful, beautiful work out there. And I quote him often, but I read the book, and it really did change a lot of perspectives for me. But chapter 2 in that book, the title of the chapter, just reading the title of the chapter put me into kind of a cold sweat. It made me kind of reevaluate my existence in the universe. It was such a dangerous thing because just reading it, I recognized that maybe this relationship that I had just lost might not have gone the way it did if I had seen this first. I knew there was something magical in this. And the title of chapter 2 of The Way of the Superior Man is Stop Waiting for Your Woman to Get Easier. That's it. Just stop waiting for your woman to get easier. The chapter itself is about 3 paragraphs long, where he just basically says, yeah, just don't do that. It's not going to happen. She's not going to change. That will never happen. And you just sitting there going, man, why won't you get easier, is just driving you crazy. It's not doing any good. And the superior man knows this, so just stop waiting for your woman to get easier. The end. No advice past that. And like that was like being nailed to the cross for me. That was like a really, like something I realized was crucial about this and transformational about this and would change the world. But I didn't quite get the whole thing at the time and what this could mean for a man in relationship, but it's so powerful. So let me just unpack this for you a little bit because it'll make a profound difference for you. First of all, Deida's right. She won't. She won't. And in fact, not only won't she change, but you waiting for her to change, this energetic sense of like waiting for her to finally grow out of this shit, waiting for her to realize that she's wrong, waiting for her to somehow make this transition, like saying the smart thing that makes her go, oh, now I get it, I've been stupid, right? That energy makes her dig her heels in. Like that makes her like, I will never change while you need me to change. And if you think about it, of course, like, not only of course, but I promise you right now, and I'll see them in the comments, there are women watching this who are like, same thing with men. Like, if you try to get them to change, they're never going to fucking change. They're like, don't fucking tell me what to do. Humans are well wired with this little reflex of don't fucking tell me what to do. Like, we just don't like it. And it makes it more difficult for her to actually grow out of this if there is something to grow out of at all. And you have to recognize that it may indeed be something that you're doing. I mean, that's not the scope of this particular video, but this stuff, human interactions are complex. It's hard to know how much of this thing that's driving you crazy is sourced from just something in you that's driving her crazy. I don't know. But I do know that waiting for her to change is the best way to prevent her from making these changes. Next is consider, do you actually love her? Do you actually love her? Or are you actually in love with who you imagine she might be? Humans, we are wildly unrealistic about this stuff. And I would say, by the way, women do this more than men do, where they're like, no, but I love him because I can see who he might be. I can see his potential. Women are more likely to do that. Like, someday he's going to stop hitting me, that kind of thing, right? We do it too. Humans do this. We fall in love with who we imagine she might be. She's beautiful, and so we imagine she's also smart, but she's never going to be smart, right? Or that was a mean and horrible example. But we fall in love with who she might be, who she could be, if only this, that, or the other thing. And then it calls into question, it truly does, whether you actually love this woman or you're in love with some internal fantasy that you have about who she might be. Because if that's the case, and it might be, and I don't want to be, again, mean or like you should give up, but you should give up. Like, if that's the case, you're not really in love with her and you should end this thing. It's not what you think it is. It's not what you think it is. It's not worth fighting for if you're in love with a fantasy and not a reality. And that's why Data's advice is so powerful in this context. Men have it that I fail if I can't change her, but that's not right. That's not a failure. This is not a relationship that you should be fighting for, because you're doing this immature thing of being in love with your fantasy, not with a real person. And there is a possibility of being in love with this real person, and you are neglecting that possibility. You are avoiding true love. You are avoiding true love by maintaining your infatuation with the fantasy of who she would be if only she would change, right? So true love, like with a capital T and a capital L, true love is the act of surrender. That's what doing true love is. This is the work of doing true love. The work of doing true love is the action of being able to surrender to who she really is, or for a woman who he really is. You've got to look at the person and say, this person with all of their flaws and their fucked upness, because we all have flaws and we're all fucked up, but this person is the one that I'm giving my life to. I am giving my whole life to this person. We're on the road together and I am down to ride, and we're connected because their flaws are perfect, just the way they are. Like, that's, how do I know what the perfect flaws are that dovetail with me? Because she's going to show me by acting them out. Like, that's fully surrendered to who she really is and not who you wish she was. That's what true love is. That's the doing true love. Now, it ain't easy, but once you do, if you can do, let's say it's a big if, but if you can do it, once you do it, yes, she might get easier. Like, stop waiting for your woman to get easier. Even though she might. I'm not saying like she won't, but you can't hold out for it. And you can't do it for this reason. Like, if you do it for the wrong reason, then it's not real, right? The work of doing true love isn't, oh, if I do this clever thing where I pretend that I'm fully surrendered, it won't work. It just won't work. You can't trick yourself that way. You can't trick the divine thing that is true love. Like, it is a spiritual thing, and it's not trickable. You can't game this process. You've got to give up this idea. You have to stop waiting for your woman to get easier. You've got to surrender yourself to this possibility of true love. And once you do, yes, once you do, she might get easier, because she can. Because now she recognizes that you accept her. Now she doesn't have to dig her heels in. She can. She's able to. She's not able to get easier while you need her to get easier. It's counterintuitive. It's messed up. But it really is the way it is. You just, and by the way, even without true love, I'm not saying you've got to do the work for true love, but if at least you give up, even if it's not, the end all be all, if you could just give up this idea of hoping she'll get easier, it gives her the permission of the possibility to get easier. But even if she doesn't, and she might not, it's no guarantee here, by the way. This is not like you do this and then this is what works. But you've got to stop waiting for it to get easier, because that won't work. And because once you do give up on this idea that she will ever get easier, either she'll get easier, or from that place, you can actually build something. You can actually build something that incorporates this thing. So instead of like, this drives me crazy, it needs to change. This drives me crazy, it needs to change. Instead of just doing that, you say, okay, this drives me crazy, and I'm going to build, or like, I accept it. I'm going to stop waiting for that to change. I'm going to just be like, I'm good with that. And I'm not going to complain about it anymore. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to love it. And from that place, you can build something. You can build something beautiful. You can build something that incorporates that crazy into the way that you guys interact, such that it doesn't harm you. You're like, yeah, she's just this thing she does. She's just crazy like that. And I love her. And then, she accepts a lot of crazy about me. So it's good. I've learned to build my structures in a way that accommodates that. It's like, imagine trying to build a seawall that says, well, we just need the ocean to calm the fuck down. Well, that's never going to work. But if you're like, well, this is what the ocean's going to do, then you can engineer a seawall that allows you to build something beautiful and in harmony with the ocean that won't be broken by it, but that accommodates it, that's part and parcel of it. And that is the only way forward. So look, there is a lot of other advice out there that, from some really esteemed colleagues of mine, people with, PhDs. There's a lot of good relationship out there about how to make your relationship better. And all of it works somewhere between kind of shitty or not at all, right? We know that a lot of it doesn't work. And some of it, works a little bit. It worked kind of shitty, but you get something out of it. All of it works kind of shitty or not at all if you don't get this part down. Like, as long as you don't accept the fact that she's never going to change, right? Like, you need her to get easier, then it all works, a little bit like active listening and all that. It's good. It works kind of shitty or not at all. But if you get this down, if you stop waiting for your woman to get easier, something miraculous happens. All that other advice that's out there works like gorgeous magical fire. Actually, once you're like, okay, I've gotten past this part, I'm good with her not getting easier, I'm good with it, then all that other little advice actually really can work like crazy. It works in a way that it didn't work before. You're like, I tried that, it didn't work. No, it works. It's just that you were still holding out for her to get easier. If you drop that part, then a lot of the advice out there really is like magical. I mean, some of it's bullshit, right? A lot of it's bullshit. But I mean, the credible stuff can be gorgeous. And so from that place of not waiting for your woman to get easier, you could get a lot of great advice from other people, or for example, from me. So for example, if you want more sex in your relationship, you can watch this one. You want to learn how to seduce your wife, check out that one. And if you want to know about reigniting her sexual desire after having children, you can watch that one. And all of these are fucking magic. They're wildfire, and they will work. But you got to start. You got to start with this thing of like, you're really sabotaging anything else or any other advice I give you. If you don't get this one thing, you got to stop waiting for your woman to get easier.